Morning, boys and girls. It's Miss DeAngelis with your skills lesson today. Let's take a look at what we're going to learn. We're going to read and sort tricky words, spellings for C with the K and S sound, and we're going to read and answer comprehension questions about the story Mr. Spencer. Okay, you're going to take this worksheet out. I'm going to go to the next slide, but I just wanted to show you what the worksheet looked like because for me to make the video, I had to do something a little bit different. You're going to need 2 crayons or markers, whatever you have. You need a blue and a yellow crayon or marker, so grab that. What we're going to do is, if the C sounds like a K, like K, we're going to color it blue, like cat. And if it sounds like S, like S in scent, we're going to color it yellow. Number 1, we're going to start with the word clip. Does it sound like K or S? Right. Color it blue. All right, the next word is pencil. Does the C in there sound like a K or like S? Right. Color it yellow. And if I'm moving too fast for you, please pause the video while you're coloring. Carve. Does carve sound like K or S? Right, it sounds like K. Color it blue. Cells. Does cells sound like K or S? Good job. Color it yellow. Cage. Does cage sound like K or S? Yep. Color it blue. Sounds like K. How about bouncing? Does bouncing sound like K or S? Right. It sounds like the S sound. Color it yellow. The next word is scent. What sound does the C make? S or K? You're right. It makes the S sound. Color it yellow. Center. Center makes the S sound, so it is yellow. Make sure you pause if you need more time to color. Next one, bobcat. Does the C sound like a S or a K? Right, it sounds like K. Color it blue. Catch. Does catch sound like K or S? You got it. Color it blue. Dancer. Does dancer sound like K or S? Yep, it sounds like S. And last one, magic. Does the C sound like a K or S? Good job. Color it blue. If you need to pause the video, do so now so you can catch up. Don't rush. Now we're going to read a story. It's going to be called Mr. Spencer and the Rabbits. We're going to start a new reader today about a girl named Grace. Grace is the main character. She lives on a farm and will take us on adventures on her farm and throughout the country. The Grace reader contains fictional stories with characters, settings, and plots. Let's go over our vocabulary. Midwest, a region in the middle of the United States. For example, we read a book that was set on a prairie in the Midwest. Ripe means ready to be eaten. For example, the berries come off the vines easily when they are ripe. Harvests picks plants to be eaten or sold. For example, my grandma harvests blackberries to make a pie. Sayings and phrases. Makes a living means earns money by doing a job. For example, my stepfather makes a living as a police officer. Mad as a hornet means very angry. For example, I was as mad as a hornet after I spilled my cereal. Let it be means to leave it alone. For example, my mother told us to let my little sister be. Mr. Spencer and the Rabbits. Grace Spencer's dad had a farm. Her dad is a farmer out in the Midwest, where the land is flat and the soil is rich. In the spring, Mr. Spencer plants corn next to the farmhouse. All summer long, he takes care of the corn. By the end of the summer, the corn is ripe. Then Mr. Spencer harvests it and sells it. That is how he makes a living. Mr. Spencer has a garden too. In his garden, he plants eggplants, beets, sprouts, and peppers. Mr. Spencer has some problems with rabbits. They crawl under the fence, hop into his garden, and munch on his plants. When Mr. Spencer sees the rabbits in his garden, he gets mad as a hornet. He shakes his fist and shouts at the rabbits. Grace and her sister Jill like the rabbits. Grace says they are cute. She tells her dad to be nice and let the rabbits be. But Mr. Spencer can't stand those rabbits, and the Spencers need the plants in the garden to feed them in the winter. Last summer, Mr. Spencer got a dog to force the rabbits out of his garden. The dog's name is Pepper. He is a black dog. He sleeps out in the barn. When Pepper came to the farm, he gave the rabbits quite a scare. They were in the garden munching on sprouts. Then Pepper came charging out into the yard, barking. The rabbits took off. They raced back into their hole as fast as they could. Pepper ran to the rabbit hole and went in as far as he could. He started digging with his paws, but it was no use. It was a deep hole, and he could not get down to where the rabbits were. Mr. Spencer was sitting in the living room at the time. He could tell what Pepper was up to. He smiled. "Good dog," he said. "Good dog. I bet those rabbits will munch on sprouts somewhere else next time." Discussion questions. Who is Mr. Spencer? Right. Mr. Spencer is a farmer and Grace's dad. Number 2. What does Mr. Spencer grow in his garden? Mr. Spencer grows eggplants, beets, sprouts, and peppers in his garden. Why does Mr. Spencer get mad at the rabbits? Mr. Spencer gets mad at the rabbits because they hop into his garden and eat his plants. What is Pepper the dog's job? Right. Pepper's job is to keep the rabbits out of the garden. Where do the rabbits go when Pepper starts barking? The rabbits run into their rabbit holes when Pepper starts barking. Now we're going to answer our comprehension questions. You need to open to this page in your skills book and write your name and date like I did. Remember to pause the video if I'm moving too fast. Number 1. What is the land like out in the Midwest? The land has red rocks. The land has no plants. The land has rich soil. Right. The land has rich soil. What things are in Mr. Spencer's garden? Mr. Spencer has eggplants, beets, sprouts, and peppers in his garden. Pause the video if you need time to write. Make sure you don't have any floating letters and you use your finger spaces. Number 3. What is the problem with Mr. Spencer's garden? He has rabbits in his garden, he has a dog in his garden, or he has sprouts in his garden. Right. He has rabbits in his garden. Number 4. Pepper helps Mr. Spencer when he has a snack from the garden, barks at the rabbits so they run off, sleeps out in the barn. Right. He barks at the rabbits so they run off. This completes your skills lesson. Make sure you send a photo of your work to your teacher. Great job, guys.